Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Frank Reynolds at ABC Space Headquarters in New York. It is July 16th, 1969, and we are all about to witness the fulfillment of that promise that President Kennedy made at Rice University Stadium in Texas on September 12th, 1962. The moon that still has not set in some parts of our world has only a few more days of what you might call untrammeled history. These three men are about to embark on certainly one of history's most glorious adventures. Commander Neil Armstrong, Lunar Module Pilot Buzz Aldrin, and Command Module Pilot Mike Collins. Armstrong and Collins have already entered their command module, and Buzz Aldrin will be entering to join them in a few moments to begin this epic journey, and we shall all see it. ABC Science Editor Jules Bergman is at the Cape. There has been...
Man embarks today on history's greatest adventure. Here at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, a massive, complex, and tragic vehicle waits to launch 3 American explorers into space, into the future, toward the lunar surface. The dawn of this day heralded the dawning of a new age, for with the first steps on the moon, man's strides across the universe really begin. It's a time of exhilaration, reflection, hope, fulfillment, as a centuries-old dream starts toward reality.
This is CBS News color coverage of Man on the Moon. The epic journey of Apollo 11. This morning, the launch of astronauts Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins. The start of the trip to the moon. Sponsored by the International Paper Company, where good ideas grow on trees. And by Western Electric, manufacturing and supply unit of the Bell System. And by Kellogg's. Kellogg's puts more in your morning. Here from CBS News Apollo headquarters at Kennedy Space Center, correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Good morning. It's T-minus 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 53 seconds, and counting in just an hour and a half. If all goes well, Apollo 11 astronauts Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins are to lift off from pad 39A out there on the voyage man always has dreamed about. Next stop for them, the moon.
Frank, we're about to see it begin. It's, what is that? 7 minutes, 7:55. Frank McGee, you there?
Yes. And it's getting mighty close. And though we take this in part rather matter-of-factly, I can remember, and I'm sure you can too, David, when we were kids, that one way of separating the nuts from the normal people was to ask a person, do you think a man will ever be on the moon? And if he said yes, you chalked him up as a nut.
Right.
And if he said no, you said, well, that fellow's all right.
Well, this is about to happen.
Well, David, well, there it sits out there. The culmination of, somewhere between 25 and $33 billion. The skills and dedication of about 300,000 technicians. 11 3/4 years of time. The solemn but certainly risk-filled pledge of a president. Some heartbreaking failures and some stirring successes. This is a day of little kin to that October 4th, 1947, when the shrill and persistent beeps of Sputnik, as it wheeled about the autumn skies, shoved us, unprepared and awkward, into the space age. And this day certainly bears little resemblance to those bleak days of 1958 when Vanguards and Discovers and Junos and Atlases were blowing up on our launch pads.
2 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting. The target for the Apollo 11 astronauts, the moon at liftoff, will be at a distance of 218,096 miles away. We just passed the 2-minute mark in the countdown. T-minus 1 minute, 54 seconds, and counting. Our status board indicates that the oxidizer tanks in the second and third stages now have pressurized. We continue to build up pressure in all 3 stages here at the last minute to prepare it for liftoff. T-minus 1 minute, 35 seconds on the Apollo mission, the flight to land the first men on the moon. All indications coming in to the control center at this time indicate we are go. 1 minute, 25 seconds and counting. Our status board indicates the third stage completely pressurized. 80-second mark has now been passed. We'll go on full internal power at the 50-second mark in the countdown. Guidance system goes on internal at 17 seconds, leading up to the ignition sequence at 8.9 seconds. We're approaching the 60-second mark on the Apollo 11 mission. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. We passed T-minus 60. 55 seconds and counting. Neil Armstrong just reported back. It's been a real smooth countdown. We passed the 50-second mark. Power transfer is complete. We're on internal power with the launch vehicle at this time. 40 seconds away from the Apollo 11 liftoff. All the second stage tanks now pressurized. 35 seconds and counting. We are still go with Apollo 11. 30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on proper heading.
Getting that company we've become used to.
Slowly, but gathering speed. Going beautifully, burning hot.
Plus 30 seconds.
Roll complete and engine clear.
Altitude's 2 miles. Downrange 1 mile, altitude 3, 4 miles now. Velocity 2,195 feet per second.
Everything's coming into place. Still feel? Yes, indeed. Oh, we're starting to get contracts now.
See it beautifully on the screen here.
We're through the region of maximum dynamic pressure now.
Yeah, everything looks good here. We're 1350 start block.
7, 8 miles down range.
Stand by for mode 1 Charlie. Mark, mode 1 Charlie. 1 Charlie.
Cliff Charlesworth taking the staging status.
Houston, you are go for staging.
That's for the, that's for dropping the first stage, going to the second stage power.
Inboard cutoff.
Inboard engines out.
Inboard cutoff.
Inboard cutoff exactly on schedule. Apollo 11, now 3,000
You're hearing
miles.
from the
You're now doing
capsule communicator
3,650 miles
astronaut
an
Ken
hour.
Mattingly at Mission Control in Houston, talking to the astronaut.
Downrange 35 miles, 30 miles high, standing by for the outboard engine cut down now.
And this is reporting, this is Jack Riley reporting, the voice of Mission Control.
There it is, right on the tip.
And ignition.
Armstrong reporting staging and ignition. The first stage engine that burned out exactly on schedule. The second stage engine that lit off.
Houston, sources go all engines. You're looking good.
All right, you're loud and clear, Houston.
41
At 3 minutes, downrange 70 miles, 43 miles high, velocity 9,300 feet per second.
We got skirt tap. Roger, we confirm skirt tap.
Apollo 11 going a little faster than expected, but perfectly within
Neil
limits.
Armstrong confirming both the engine skirt separation and the launch escape tower separation.
Houston, be advised the visual is go today. This is Houston, roger out.
What was that?
The visual simulation is going.
Yeah, they finally gave me a window to look out.
You won't, he can't hear you.
11 Houston, your guidance is converged. You're looking good.
The boost protective cover comes off and the window.
Downrange 140 miles, altitude 62 miles, velocity 10,300 feet per second.
11 Houston, you are go at 4 minutes.
Roger.
The second stage
Still
is
inside.
5
Launch
days.
cameras
Ground track.
burning hot straight and through all the way.
Pounds of thrust.
Toward a moon 218,000 miles distant.
Amazing camera.
A moment many
Space agency has
Americans
it.
really
We can
just
still
never
see that
believed
spacecraft, and at this point, it is almost 93 miles high.
190 miles downrange now, 72 miles high, velocity 11,000 feet per second.
Almost 8,000 miles an
And
hour.
the first major
Static
hurdles
up
have
to
been passed. Apollo 11
17,500 to Earth orbit.
all going very, very well. The first minutes of a 195-hour-long flight, ticking off almost without tension, almost like a regular airliner takeoff, but for the thunderous roar of flame of the Saturn
Booster
V.
says it's looking good at 5 minutes.
11 Houston, you are go at 5 minutes.
The next,
Roger, all 11, go.
the next critical
We're hearing
moment
Neil
will be in
Armstrong
that,
live,
second stage,
reporting back to booster into Capcom,
for the first time.
engine
Downrange
mission control.
270 miles, altitude 82 miles, velocity 12,472 feet per second.
Fly dash 4B to COI capability. Okay.
That's 9,000 miles an
Dash 4B
hour.
to COI capability.
Continues the orbit insertion.
It's 9,000 miles an hour, confirmation that the
Apollo 11 could now get into orbit using the S4B if necessary.
Thank you. We're coming through too.
very clear communications this morning, very clear air to ground from Apollo 11. That's Capcom Bruce McCandless you hear talking from Houston Mission Control. And occasionally Flight Director Cliff Charles in the background. And down.
Reporting go here in the control center.
And our long-range cameras have lost the picture finally. Our cameras are now at pad 39, viewing that water deluge or dousing system we told you about. Hundreds of thousands of gallons of water saving the pad from being all wiped out by the heat of the flame. The water is still going, still keeping cool.
They've got it.
Our animated view now showing us what's happening up there at 6 minutes and 35 seconds into the flight of Apollo 11.
This is a sequence that arranges the staging between the second stage and the third stage. The fuel uncovers the sensor starting in that sequence.
We're coming up almost to the point where the second stage has 2 rockets will burn out.
8 minutes, 17 seconds.
We can look at
9 minutes, 11 seconds on the second
look
stage.
at the empty launch pad and some of the 625,000 gallons of water that's poured over it to cool it. So good is this deluge.
Very close to nominal figure.
30 miles, altitude 95 miles, velocity 17,358 feet per second.
That it's service module, the service stands almost instantly.
Apollo 11 has almost reached orbital velocity now. It'll require another minute of burn of the S2. Second stage, President Johnson in the VIP stand with Lady Bird Johnson obviously relaxed, happy at the way the launch went, and Vice President Agnew next to him.
Looks like another perfect Saturn V launch. What a feat
Engines are out on the second stage as planned.
After the early days of
Engines were out exactly on schedule at 7 minutes 40 seconds.
But the Saturn's on-time launches, I wish we had American Railways to run on the kind of schedule that Von Braun, Davis, and company got these Apollo launches.
Apollo 11 now about 3 minutes away from going into Earth's orbit over mid-Atlantic.
Apollo 11 go on all sources. New York, go at 8 minutes.
And galloping
We got the EU ship down here too.
Apollo 11 galloping along now at more than 12,500 miles an hour. Neil Armstrong couldn't make out what he said.
11 is Houston, you are go for staging. Route for 10 seconds to land. S4 however, mode 4 capability.
Now this could be the firing of the S4B in just 15 seconds.
Mode 4, Apollo 11 could get into orbit using the surface propulsion system.
602 up here.
Altitude is 100 miles, downrange 883 miles. Operating cutoff. And ignition.
Right on
We're ready, so let's just go, 11.
700 PSI. 697, there we are.
And now the
And we have a good third stage now.
Now this burn lasts 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Schedule speed building up just the way it should.
Orbital speed of 17,500 miles an hour, up a couple thousand miles an hour.
Velocity 23,128 feet per second. Downrange 1,000 miles, altitude 101 miles.
D1 is on number 5, if you're looking. Chuck, 718.
This third stage is a J2 engine, about 225,000
Apollo 11
pounds.
is Houston at 10 minutes, you are go.
Not,
Roger,
I think I misidentified the practical communicator when we go.
D1's on line 5, Chuck.
Relax, Neil Armstrong saying, Roger, we're go.
Apollo 11 is Houston, predicted cutoff at 11 plus 42, over. 1142, Rich.
It'll be 11 minutes and 42 seconds into the flight for the third stage.
Downrange 1,175 miles, velocity 24,190 feet per second, altitude 102 nautical miles.
All right.
There is former President Johnson. Saying
Apollo 11 still go on all sources.
friends and stands
Apollo 11 is Houston, you are go
of
11.
the sharing with Vice President Agnew.
Wait, the last few seconds.
He's the official representative of President Nixon, Vice President Agnew.
We're predicting third stage shutdown at 11 minutes 42 seconds.
And Apollo 11 is just about ready to go into orbit in a few seconds from now.
Velocity 25,254 feet per second.
We should get confirmation of
Downrange
orbital
1,400
insertion
miles now.
in about 15 seconds now.
Altitude 102.8 nautical miles. Shutdown. Shutdown right on time. 103.6. Roger, shutdown. We copy 101.4 by 103.6.
101.4 by 103.6, so that would be in nautical miles of the orbit for the spacecraft.
And Apollo 11 is in orbit, scratching the
orbit. They've made the first big jump on their trip to land on the moon, and Vice President Agnew is seen there on the screen. Flight is smooth, so far uneventful, perfectly on time, perfectly efficient. If you watched, or since you watched, the liftoff with us, There's really nothing to say about it. What can you say about a sight like that? It's a sight that reduced, there's a huge crowd out here of reporters, visitors, VIPs, and others milling around and talking and gossiping and handshaking and telling jokes and making a lot of noise in a busy, vivid scene. And NASA has set up loudspeakers outside this area here, and so when the last minute or so of the countdown begins, they hear it over loudspeakers, 10, 9, 8, exactly as we all heard it. And it was notable that when it got down to about a minute, everybody who had been lollygagging, gossiping, talking, fell still and silent, knowing he was about to see something truly fantastic, but not really knowing what it was. We all know what we saw, but in another way, we don't know what we saw. You not only see it, hear it, feel it, inside and outside. And a minute or so after that unbelievable event, as you have heard over your television, the astronauts are talking to the ground and reporting on the facts and figures of the flight, and somebody here a minute ago was saying they are as matter of fact and unexcited and calm as if they were taxi cab drivers reporting in and saying we're on Maple Street headed for downtown. They're no more excited than that. But obviously they couldn't do their work any other way. Frank McGee, you there? I know you're there. I don't know why I asked. Frank?